Unlocking higher dimensions, the shocking truth you never knew about Thoth. Are you ready? In the stillness of a moonlit night, an ancient secret waited to unveil itself, a truth so explosive it would shatter the foundations of what you thought was possible. Thoth, the enigmatic god of wisdom and writing, wasn't just a myth. He was a key to higher dimensions that humankind had yet to fully understand. The mere thought made hearts race and minds spiral into curiosity at the sheer audacity of what this could mean. The air crackled with anticipation, as if the universe itself held its breath, ready to breathe life into the unimaginable, but let us take it up a notch. What if Thoth, far from the decaying relic of an ancient civilization, was alive? Images of glowing orbs of energy danced behind closed eyes, a vision of him, draped in shimmering robes that seemed to flutter as if in a wind that had no source. In some tales, it said he could manipulate time, bending it to his will. Can you feel that chill creeping down your spine? Knowing there are energies, hidden insights lying just under the surface of our understanding? And those whispered traditions about secret chambers filled with scrolls of power buried beneath the sands, just think of it. The weight of history intertwined with the potential of the unknown. The mystery escalated when a small group of modern-day seekers stumbled upon a cryptic artifact in the very sands that had guarded the ancient wonders of Egypt. Local villagers shivered at the thought, recalling chilling tales of black magic strong enough to turn the tides of fate. The artifact, an ornately carved tablet, glowed faintly under the cloak of night. Many turned their faces away in fear, as elders murmured ancient warnings. Some even claimed to see Thoth's eyes glistening from the shadows. Were they really staring into the depths of another world, or was it merely a trick of the light? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the seekers examined the tablet, a sudden gust swept through the night. Dread mingled with excitement in their chests, and at that moment, they felt something stirring the thinning boundary between the physical world and higher dimensions. Could Thoth be using them as pawns in his ancient game of cosmic chess? Hearts pounded with each passing second, pulses raced as suspicion thickened the air. They felt watched, as if eyes unseen were tracing their every move, waiting for that precise moment to strike. What would happen when the ancient forces they dared to awaken collided with the curious energy they unknowingly channeled? With a final crackle of electricity in the atmosphere, everything shifted. And just like that, with one simple question hanging there in the air, the thrill of adventure met the icy grip of fear. What lay ahead, and were they ready to face what had been unleashed? A sharp intake of breath rippled through the group as the tablet radiated a pulsing glow, illuminating their faces with an eerie light. Shadows twisted and writhed behind them like dark tendrils, hungry and alive. The air thickened, turning heavy in their lungs as if it were charged with electricity. The seekers exchanged frantic glances, each one feeling the weight of an unspoken question hovering in the night, a feeling that this moment was pivotal, that they stood at the edge of the abyss. Is this what we wanted?" whispered Sarah, her voice trembling. Fear radiated from her, infectious and raw. Everyone felt it, an electric tether, binding them to the artifact and the ancient forces they had dared to disturb. "Don't back down now," Jake shot back, his bravado faltering beneath the apprehensive tremor in his voice. He clenched the bracelet on his wrist, a gift from his grandmother who had often recited stories of Thoth. "We need to find out what this is." But even his bravado was a facade, cracking under the weight of the collective dread. Then, as if responding to their tension, the tablet flickered. Symbols began slithering across its surface, shifting like live creatures awakening from a long slumber. The seekers leaned close, eyes wide with a mix of horror and fascination. "What is it saying?" Derek asked breathlessly, his curiosity pulling him forward. They gasped as the air pulsed with whispers, unintelligible yet hauntingly familiar, fragments of an ancient language long forgotten. The words clawed at their minds, eliciting memories of childhood fears and tales of dark magic that once haunted their dreams. Just then, a chilling howl cut through the night like a siren, echoing across the desert plains. The villagers' warnings rang loud in their ears. "Get away from there." A trio of local men rushed forward, faces distorted with fear. Their heads shook violently, eyes wide with panic. "You don't understand what you're tampering with. It's not just artifacts. It's curses." But the warning only fueled the seekers' adrenaline. Thoth, the god of knowledge and wisdom, was close now, his presence palpable in the air. They could almost feel the vibrations of energy charging the atmosphere. Each seeker stood transfixed, caught between superstition and the thrill of discovery. The tablet vibrated violently, casting long shadows that twisted like serpents on the ground, and then, silence. The whispers faded, leaving only the sounds of their breathing. The space between them and the tablet felt charged, as if the universe itself was waiting to see what they would do next. With trembling fingers, Steve reached out, drawn irresistibly toward that glowing surface. We have to understand." Before anyone could react, the moment fractured. A flash of brilliant light erupted from the tablet, blinding them for an instant before plunging them into darkness. A world of swirling colors and impossible shapes engulfed them, reality unraveling like a delicate thread. "Where are we?" Sarah screamed, disoriented. The sensation of falling enveloped them, a gripping fear mixed with thrill. As their surroundings began to coalesce, they found themselves in a vast hall, stone walls speckled with intricate carvings, the air alive with unspoken truths. A figure loomed at the far end, cloaked in shimmering robes, face obscured. Was that Thoth himself, or merely an illusion? The tension mounted, hearts thudding like war drums. They had crossed a threshold one they could never return from. But as the figure's eyes glimmered with a chilling familiarity, the seeker's mind screamed a single thought. Could they handle the knowledge that awaited them? Before they could comprehend their own thoughts, the figure raised a hand, signaling them to come forward, and the future hung in the balance, trembling with possibility. What truths lay in the heart of this ancient realm? Would they be saviors or unwitting harbingers of doom? The figure in the shimmering robes began to move, gliding across the stone floor with an ethereal grace. Shadows danced around it, twisting and curving like wisps of smoke. Whispers filled the air again, resonating through the hall, urging them closer. "Come, seekers of truth," it beckoned, its voice echoing like a haunting melody. "Destiny awaits." The group hesitated, hearts pounding in their chests. What was this being? Was it indeed Thoth, the god they had conjured in their reckless pursuit? Jake stepped forward, propelled by a mixture of resolve and dread. "What do you want from us?" he called out, his voice seeming tiny against the ancient stone. "Knowledge," replied the figure, pausing to let the word hang in the air. "But knowledge comes with a price. Are you willing to pay?" Sarah's pulse quickened. "A price? What could that mean?" She exchanged glances with Steve and Derek. They were in too deep now. As they prepared to step forward, the air thickened, pressing around them like a vice. "You must decide quickly," the figure urged, urgency lacing its tone. "Time is a fragile thread here." The hall began to tremble, the walls vibrating with an unseen force as if the very stones were alive and aware. "We must make a choice," Derek shouted, a note of panic creeping into his voice. "What if we regret it?" The figure snapped its fingers, and the vibrant murals on the walls began to shift. Scenes unfolded before them, battles waged, treasures lost and reclaimed, knowledge used for salvation and destruction. With each image, the whispers increased, growing into a chaotic chorus of voices, each one narrating the price of knowledge: betrayal, sacrifice, madness. "Knowledge can elevate or annihilate," the figure continued, unblinking. "But every seeker must accept the weight of what they learn." It raised its arms, and the walls echoed with the sounds of civilization, the cries of the innocent, the laughter of children, and the chilling screams of those who sought too much power. The choice lay before them, heavy like the air. They could gain insight into the universe, but at what cost? "I can't do this," Sarah mumbled, her heart racing as her instincts screamed to flee. But the allure of enlightenment was intoxicating. The visions were tantalizing, filled with possibilities that had once only existed in dreams. "Think of what we might discover," Jake urged, yet even he felt the tug of unease. The legends of Thoth flooded his memory, tales woven with wisdom but also warnings of hubris. Suddenly, the figure pointed directly at Sarah. "It shall be you who decides. The rest will follow your fate." The shadows shifted uneasily, and her breath caught. How could the weight of their future, of their lives, rest on her shoulders alone? "Is your thirst for knowledge worth the risk?" the figure implored. "Stand tall, seeker. Your answer shall reshape everything." In that moment, the hall trembled violently as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for her answer. Sarah felt the uncertainty seep into her bones, her body trembling. Could she risk it all? Was she ready to embrace or reject what was about to unfold? "Choose wisely," the figure commanded, and a sharp crack resonated through the air, jolting her from her thoughts. The choice loomed larger than ever, and her heart raced in agonizing silence. What if she chose wrong? Would they be lost forever in this ancient realm, tormented by the knowledge they sought? With a final surge of determination, she cried out, "I accept." But as the words left her lips, a blinding flash engulfed them once more, and just before the light swallowed everything, a single thought screamed in the depths of her mind. What had they truly unleashed? As darkness enveloped them again, the promise of revelation seemed shadowed by a growing dread that pulsed between them. Where would the next step lead, and what dimensions of reality were they about to confront? The flash of light was blinding, filling every corner of their vision with a piercing brilliance. For a moment, time itself felt suspended, their hearts pounding in unison as they found themselves suspended in a void that felt like eternity. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, barely able to breathe under the weight of what was happening. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the light faded. The group blinked, adjusting to a hazy scene around them. They stood in a vast, otherworldly library, towering shelves stretching infinitely in every direction, filled with scrolls and books pulsing with a faint glow. The air crackled with energy, and a deep, resonant hum surrounded them, an echo of knowledge waiting to be uncovered. "Where are we?" Steve whispered, uneasily glancing at the shifting books. They seemed almost alive, vibrating as if possessing their own will. The figure they had seen before now stood behind a sprawling desk, its eyes glowing faintly, taking on an intensifying shade of emerald. "You have crossed the threshold into the library of the ancients," it declared, its voice imbued with an echo of timelessness. "Here, truth and lore converge, a sanctuary for the seekers. Here, you shall find the knowledge you crave, but at what cost?" Derek interrupted, his voice strained with suspicion. "This isn't just a simple reading room, is it?" The figure tilted its head, considering him. "Wisdom is not free," it warned. "Every revelation you gain here is a fragment of your own essence. To seek knowledge means to expose yourself to the very fabric of reality." Sarah shivered. The weight of the figure's words settled ominously in her stomach as she glanced at the countless tomes that surrounded them, all teeming with potential. Each book felt like a weighty promise, yet the lurking shadows of consequence loomed ever closer. "What kind of essence?" Jake asked cautiously, stepping toward a nearby shelf where an ornate book beckoned him. It pulsated with a rhythmic glow as if it echoed the heartbeat of some ancient entity. "Your fears, your hopes, your very soul," the figure replied, its face now illuminated in an ominous light. "Every choice creates ripples that can alter time, space, and your reality. But only the brave will weave through the tapestry." A chill ran down Sarah's spine. Could they truly handle what lay within these walls? The stories of past seekers echoed in her mind, the ones who had come seeking knowledge, but returned changed, twisted by the truths they had unearthed. "What if we're not ready?" she whispered, her voice trembling slightly as anxiety clawed at her resolve. "Read, and see for yourself," the figure urged, gesturing toward the shelf with a sweeping motion. Its eyes glimmered, revealing a fierce hunger for their engagement. Choose wisely. The group exchanged nervous glances, their minds spinning with the unsaid potential of the knowledge before them. Each of those tomes felt like a decision fire, intense with unanswered questions. But would they ignite insights or ignite something far darker? Taking a stealing breath, Sarah reached for a nearby scroll. It was adorned with intricate symbols, and as her fingers brushed against it, a surge of energy shot through her. She saw flickers of visions, lost cities, majestic creatures, and wisps of terror that seeped from the pages. No. Stop. She gasped, yanking her hand away as the visions attacked her senses. But the figure maintained its calm, watching intently as she withdrew, entangled in both fear and fascination. What have I just felt? She stammered, trembling in confusion. Only a taste, the figure responded cryptically. But that taste will haunt you. Choose to delve deeper, and you may find that knowledge does not disinfect, it complicates. Then, the library began to quake, books flying off the shelves, slamming to the floor with thunderous crashes. The walls of the library blurred momentarily, revealing glimpses of other dimensions, chaotic realms swirling with colors and shadows. Hold on. Sarah screamed, as the ground trembled beneath them. A spiraling vortex began forming in the center, a gateway pulsing with uncontained energy. Choose now. The figure bellowed, thrusting its hands forward. Knowledge or escape. As the room convulsed around them, Sarah felt the roots of fate pushing harder against her heart. She stood at the precipice of discovery, every moment laced with anxiety. Could they truly dare to dive into the depths of understanding, or would they be swept away into the void of madness? What will you choose? The query hung heavily in the air, challenging their resolve as the vortex shimmered dangerously, ready to unleash them into the unknown. As the gaping whirlpool pulsed in the heart of the library, a cacophony of whispers surrounded them, ethereal voices whispering their fears and longings. Each one seemed to call out to Sarah, ensnaring her with the promise of answers. But lurking beneath was a sinister undertone, warning of the chaos that knowledge might unleash. Go! Jake shouted, panic coursing through his voice. His eyes darted between the swirling vortex and the alluring shelves. We have to decide now. What if? Derek stammered, his hands shaking as he started backing away from the center of the turmoil. What if the knowledge isn't worth it? Or what if it's everything? Sarah countered, feeling the weight of her own indecision pull at her. The allure of the scroll she had touched flickered in her mind, its visions replaying in a haunting loop. She could either turn her back, retreat to the safety of ignorance, or step into the depths of the unknown and risk the very fiber of her being. The figure behind the desk remained still, its eyes glowing brighter, each pulse echoing with an ancient rhythm. Choose wisely, it repeated, the words tightening around them like a noose. With a burst of courage, Sarah stepped closer to the shimmering vortex. What lay beyond? Could she grasp something that hadn't yet been revealed to her, something that could change everything she ever thought to be true? The visions beckoned her, a siren's call wrapped in layers of dread and promise. I have to know, she breathed, the determination stealing her resolve. The words surged from her, cutting through the chaos. I'll take the risk. We can't turn back now. Sarah, wait. Derek shouted, desperation thick in his voice. But it was too late. Before the others could react, she jumped into the swirling chaos. The air thickened around her, and the world surrendered to a tumult of color and light, enveloping her like a warm embrace. Sensations overwhelmed her, and 1,000 images flooded her mind. The library, her friends, the swirling vortex, everything twisted and expanded into a colossal experience that felt both exhilarating and terrifying, what felt like minutes stretched into an eternity. A world beyond comprehension erupted around her, filled with swirling galaxies, ancient beings, and flickering memories of civilizations lost. She gasped, flailing in the endless sea of knowledge. Was she truly ready for this? In a blink, she came crashing back to the library floor, heart racing and breathless. Glancing around, she saw Jake and Derek still standing, fear etched onto their faces. They hadn't followed her. She could already tell, something raw within her pulsated with newfound energy. "Are you okay?" Derek rushed to her side, his expression a mix of concern and awe. "What did you see? What happened?" Something vast," she murmured, still dazed. "It was incredible. But there was darkness too, something waiting to be unearthed." The figure smiled knowingly, its eyes glowing with unrestrained hunger. "You felt the truths that lie beyond perception. You glimpsed the infinite. But," it warned, its voice deepening, "the path you tread is perilous. What you bring back could alter your very soul." Suddenly, a shudder rippled through the library, and the shelves trembled ominously, books busting off in chaotic flurries. The ground beneath them began to split open, shadows pooling and elongating, forming claw-like hands reaching out for them. "Hold on!" Sarah yelled, her heart racing again. She grabbed Derek's arm, willing him to stay strong. "We need to decide. We can't let it drag us into darkness." Jake, eyes blazing with determination now, joined their hands. "We can face this together. But we need to act." The vortex roared, suddenly growing larger, threatening to swallow everything in its path. In that moment, the power of their choice surged within them. But the question loomed, would knowledge save them or consume them entirely? As they stood united, confronting the chaos, another rush of energy surged through the library. The figure watched, its emerald eyes gleaming with an intensity that hinted at terrible secrets yet to be revealed. "Choose your next step," it whispered, its voice layered with ancient echoes that felt like ice running through their veins. The abyss of knowledge lay before them, yet shadows danced closely behind. Could they forge ahead, or would they be swallowed by the very truths they sought? What awaited them in the darkness? The answers hung heavy in the air as the shadows writhed closer, and the echoes of the past whispered their seductive promises. The ground trembled beneath their feet, sending shivers up Sarah's spine. The shadows clawed closer, grasping for traction, their fingers glistening with despair. It felt like time was freezing, and her heart pounded like a drum in her chest as chaos loomed before them. "Now! We must leap into the vortex," Sarah urged, determination slicing through her fear. The memory of her visions and the darkness that surrounded them smoldered in her mind. "But what if it's a trap?" Derek's voice trembled, each word ignited with dread. He glanced at the terrifying shadows creeping towards them, then back at Sarah. "What if we lose ourselves? Better to risk losing ourselves with knowledge than remain in this ignorance," Sarah shouted. The others exchanged glances, desperation evident as the shadows inched closer, longing to claim their souls. Jake tightened his grip around their hands, the heat of his resolve sparking courage in the others. "If we're going in, we go together. On 3. 1. Sarah felt the weight of every choice they had ever made. 2. Derek squeezed his eyes shut and summoned his courage. 3. Jake yelled, and they all leaped forward into the swirling abyss. The world exploded around them. It felt like being thrust through a kaleidoscope, colors morphing and merging as ancient whispers engulfed them again. This time, Sarah didn't just see visions, she felt them. The fear, the joy, the anguish of history bled through her skin. In flashes, she lived the loss of forgotten cities, the triumphs of genius minds, and the weight of catastrophic truths that had been buried through time. "Stay together." Jake's voice broke through the torrent of experiences. They held on tightly, weaving through shifting realities, each form tantalizingly beautiful yet strangely terrifying. Suddenly, a vast chamber unfurled around them, golden light illuminating inscriptions that cast silhouettes of unearthly creatures flickering in the walls. They felt drawn in, each breath tasting of ancient magic. Intricate patterns danced before their eyes, telling stories so profound they choked Sarah with the gravity. "Look!" Sarah pointed at a luminescent figure slowly materializing in the center of the chamber. It was Thoth, crowned with a luminous presence, an ancient deity of knowledge, sitting cross-legged on an altar built of shimmering stone. His eyes glimmered with wisdom that seemed to pierce through the soul. "Welcome, seekers of truth," his voice resonated, smooth as silk yet layered with authority. "You have cast aside the veil of ignorance, but knowledge comes with a price." "What price?" Derek questioned, edging closer, fear battling with curiosity. "Your very essence," Thoth replied, his voice reverberating like the toll of a distant bell. "To learn, you must sacrifice. What you uncover may not only enlighten but unravel the fabric of your consciousness, for knowledge can illuminate and destroy." "What does that mean?" Jake interjected, clenching his fists as the reality of their situation sank in. Thoth's smile was both welcoming and foreboding. "The truths of your existence entwine with those forgotten. Each thread you pull may fray the stability of your minds." In that moment, shadows slithered from the walls, coiling around Sarah's feet, entwining her, begging for her attention, whispering her deepest fears and regrets. "No. Get away." Sarah gasped, shaking off their icy clutch. "I will not yield." But the more she resisted, the tighter the shadows gripped her. Images of her past swirled around lost friendships, broken dreams, and every doubt that had ever crossed her mind. "Focus on the light, Sarah," Jake shouted, pulling her back to the altar with an intensity she had never seen in him. The air crackled with energy as Thoth raised a hand. "Embrace the light within. If you wish to uncover the truth, trust in each other and resist the darkness lurking in your hearts." As they stood huddled around Thoth, shadows loomed heavier, their whispers turning to anguished screams. A gnawing sense of dread clawed at Sarah's insides. The vortex of knowledge pulsed gently now, the cavern vibrating with an otherworldly resonance, the shadows pooling at the edges like hungry wolves. Could they fight through their nightmares and take on the truths ahead? Or would the darkness triumph over the illuminating power of their shared knowledge? Just as Sarah braced herself for the looming confrontation, an enormous rift cracked open behind Thoth, revealing an uncharted realm of swirling chaos that beckoned them into the unknown. "Are you ready for what lies ahead?" Thoth's voice rang, echoing off the cave walls, a haunting question lingering in the air as the shadows surged towards them, hungry for answers that might doom them all. The shriek of shadows echoed in Sarah's mind, looming threats whispering vile taunts mixed with pleading words. As panic swirled around them, she focused on Thoth, the only beacon amid the gathering darkness. His luminescent figure was both comforting and unnerving, compelling her to step forward. "Together, remember," Jake urged, squeezing both her shoulder and Derek's. Their eyes locked, sharing a silent pact even as dread festered beneath their skin. "Step into the void," Thoth said, his voice both melodic and terrifying. "Your essence shall weave with the fabric of truth. Are you willing to sacrifice?" Derek paused, his breath hitching. "But what if we lose ourselves forever?" "Then you will have elevated beyond fear," Thoth replied, his gaze penetrating deep into their souls. "Understanding requires not just courage, but vulnerability." The darkness writhed, hungry for their hesitation, and the walls of the chamber seemed to pulse with ancient energy. The air thickened, charged with anticipation as they stepped closer to the abyss. "Let us do this," Sarah exclaimed, sensing the shared trepidation in her friends. "Let us find out what lies beyond." As they moved toward the rift, pulsating tendrils of shadows lashed out, striking against their bodies like whips. Each searing pain was reminiscent of their past mistakes that haunted them, fears they wished to bury. A flood of memories surged, threatening to drown her in regret. "Focus. Fight it," Jake yelled, pushing the shadows back with sheer will. "Keep moving." But the whispers grew louder, tangling with their fears. "You're not enough, you'll never be." Just given suddenly, like a wildfire, a realization sparked within Sarah. "No. We can't let it control us." She threw her arms wide, embracing the air around her, summoning a fierce determination that shielded her from the encroaching despair. Thoth's voice rose above the chaos, weaving through the air like a spell. "Light only exists when shadow is acknowledged. Accept the darkness within, for it makes you whole. As if guided by Thoth's command, the three closely huddled together, embracing their shadows. They acknowledged the hurt, the burden of their past, holding it tightly yet refusing to let it define them. In that moment of acceptance, a burst of light erupted from their souls, forcing the shadows to recoil. The chamber shimmered as if life itself had been breathed back. The images of their fears distorted and dimmed, leaving only the essence of their shared strength. "We can do this!" Derek shouted, his voice illuminated with newfound energy. "Let us dive in." With hearts pounding in unison, they surged toward the rift, the tides of shadows retreating as they broke through the threshold. The light melted around them, enveloping each of them in a cocoon of incandescent brilliance. In an instant, they were thrust into a dimension where reality warped beyond comprehension. Colors twisted and danced as they became glimpses of forgotten tales. Ancient landscapes unfurled, and beings of lore surged around them, staring with eyes that glimmered like stars. "Seek your purpose amidst the chaos," Thoth's voice echoed softly in their minds. "But tread carefully, for this world thrives on choices, and each one will claim a piece of you." A churning vortex of possibilities stretched ahead, swirling with paths yet to be taken. Sarah felt energy pulsating in each direction, mixed with fear and exhilaration. It was as if the fate of their very existence hinged on their next steps, but just then, a low growl echoed from the depths, a creature more fearsome than the shadows that had pursued them. It emerged from the swirling chaos, a monstrous entity, eyes burning with a predatory hunger. "What is that?" Derek gasped, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah's heart raced, her instincts screamed for them to flee. This was only the beginning, and they had not just entered a new dimension, they had stumbled into the heart of a nightmare. "Hold tight!" Jake shouted, readying himself for whatever would come next. As the creature lunged forward, bearing fangs that glistened. In the distorted light, Sarah felt that old terror resurface. They had faced darkness before, but this was different. The stakes were now astoundingly higher. "Find the truth," Thoth's voice droned in her head, a mantra against the chaotic scene. "But remember, knowledge can rend asunder." The creature advanced, a predatory grin stretching across its face. Sarah realized that this monstrous guardian wasn't just guarding the truth, they were its final test. Could they unearth the deeper secrets hidden within this relentless chaos, or would the darkness consume them once more? The answer lay in the trembling rift of unending choices that danced just out of reach, and the creature was just a taste of the peril ahead. "Are you ready to confront your own shadows?" A chilling voice echoed through the void, and just like that, the fate of their quest lay in their hands. The creature stopped, its eyes narrowing in hunger as it sensed their fear. The air crackled with tension, and Sarah could feel her heart pounding, a frantic drum urging her to take action. She shot a glance at Jake and Derek, their faces pale but resolute. "We can't let it intimidate us," she whispered, barely able to keep her voice steady. The beast's growl rumbled through the shifting colors of the realm, vibrating chords of dread. It lunged, snapping its jaws just inches from where they stood. Sarah instinctively ducked, instinct and adrenaline kicking in. Keeping her eyes on the creature, she felt time stretch like taffy, each second a lifetime as she scanned their surroundings for salvation. "Look!" Derek shouted, pointing towards a swirling portal nearby. It shimmered with an inviting light, calling to them like a beacon of hope amid the storm. "We can make it." In unison, they bolted toward the portal, the creature's breath scorching the air behind them. The chaos of colors became blurs as the pounding of Sarah's heart mingled with the roar of the beast, creating a symphony of terror that echoed in her mind. Just as they reached the edge of the portal, the creature lunged again, its massive form colliding against Derek and knocking him sideways. He went down hard, gasping as the wind was knocked from his lungs. "Derek!" Jake shouted, his voice skimming the surface of panic. Sarah turned back, fear surging through her. They couldn't leave him behind. "No!" Derek panted, waving them off. "Go! I'll hold it." But Sarah felt a gravity within her, dragging her toward her friend. It was insane to even think about it. They could lose everything, yet how could they sacrifice one of their own? "No!" Sarah cried out, determination igniting in her chest. "We're not leaving you." She turned back and grabbed Derek's outstretched hand. With the creature closing in, Jake helped haul Derek up, but the beast howled, a terrifying cacophony splitting the air. Its jaws, stained with malice, snapped inches from Sarah's face. "We can do this," Jake urged, adrenaline fueling them. "Stay together." With a last burst of strength, they leaped into the portal, hurtling through a blinding light that engulfed them. It felt like being sucked through a straw at high speed, each twist amplifying their panic and confusion. When they tumbled onto solid ground again, it was a different landscape altogether. Gone were the surreal colors. Instead, they found themselves on a barren plain under a darkened sky, thick clouds swirling ominously above. Distant mountains loomed like teeth against the horizon. What just happened? Derek gasped, scrambling to his feet and shaking off the remnants of fear. Sarah's breath was ragged, the adrenaline still pumping through her veins. "We need to regroup. That creature, it's not just an obstacle. It knows something about us." Jake nodded, his gaze distant. "Thoth warned us, didn't he? Knowledge here, it's dangerous." Like a double-edged sword, Sarah murmured, remembering the weight of Thoth's parting words. They had embraced their shadows, yet here they were, faced with new terrors that could unravel them once again. The winds howled, and in these darkened skies, shadows stirred, writhing with a life of their own. Whispers began to coil around them. "You shouldn't have come here. What do we do now?" Derek whimpered, his resolve wavering. Sarah's mind raced, searching for answers buried deep in the base of her being. "We have to move. Each choice reveals a truth. It's the only way forward." As they advanced, the whispers grew louder, swirling into a chorus of doubt and disdain. Each footstep weighed heavier like chains, dragging them toward darker fates. A pulsating fear settled deep within, testing their will. Just then, a flash of light erupted near the mountain range, startling them. The moment hung thick in the air, a promise of something monumental or a harbinger of doom. All eyes turned toward the flicker, hearts racing as they pondered what lay ahead. What if that's a way out? Jake suggested, hope creeping into his voice despite the chaos around them. Or another trap, Derek countered, swallowing hard. His apprehension morphed into an icy grip in Sarah's chest. "If we don't take that chance, we'll never know," Sarah said, her resolve hardening. "Together, we must face whatever awaits us." And just like that, the swirling chaos of their past faded into the background as they moved toward the blinding light, confronting the unknown that awaited them on the other side. But wouldn't it be easier to turn back? What if the deeper secrets they sought were better left undiscovered, shrouded in safety's embrace? Doubt hung in the air, ready to sink its teeth into their resolve just as they crossed into the unknown. What awaits in the light? A new voice echoed, sending shivers cascading down their spines. The journey had only just begun, and already, the darkness whispered terrible truths. The light engulfed them, blinding and disorienting. They stumbled through, clutching each other as chilling whispers brushed past like icy fingers. Then, just as suddenly, they emerged into a world that felt familiar yet utterly foreign. They stood on a jagged cliff overlooking a vast expanse of rolling hills shrouded in thick fog. The ground beneath their feet was cold and rugged, as though the earth itself was alive and breathing. Distant echoes of laughter and cries danced in the air, both inviting and foreboding. "Where are we?" Derek breathed, eyes darting around, trying to make sense of their surroundings. Sarah squinted into the mist. I don't know, but something feels wrong." The fog parted momentarily, revealing twisted trees that seemed to writhe against the darkening sky. A feeling of unease crept in where hope had been moments before. It was as if the air itself whispered warnings. "Do you hear that?" Jake said, straining to hear over the low hum of the wind. "Yeah," Sarah nodded, a chill crawling up her spine. "It's like voices." "Voices?" Derek echoed in disbelief, his brows knitting together. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them, and the fog thickened, swirling violently. Shapes began to form within it, shadows darting back and forth, whispering words too soft to decipher. They felt trapped, isolated, as if the world itself had turned against them. "Hold on!" Sarah shouted, grabbing Derek's arm to keep him steady as the earth shook violently. "We can't lose each other again." Just then, one of the shadows broke free, revealing a gaunt figure draped in tattered robes. Its face was obscured, save for a pair of glowing eyes that pierced through the fog. It raised a skeletal hand, beckoning them closer. "Do not be afraid," it rasped, the voice echoing like a ghostly bell. "You've come seeking answers, but are you prepared for the truths that lie ahead?" Derek stepped back, shaking his head. "What do you mean?" "We're not here for this. We just want to know how to survive." "You've already crossed the threshold," the figure continued, its tone oddly soothing amid the chaos. "Every choice brings forth revelations. Will you embrace the path laid before you, or succumb to the shadows of doubt?" Sarah felt a pang of fear in her stomach. "What do you know about us?" "Everything," it replied, a hint of a smile curling at the corners of its lips. "But knowledge in this realm comes at a price." "What kind of price?" Jake demanded, his voice trembling slightly. "Your deepest fears, your darkest truths, they will be laid bare. Only by facing them can you hope to find what you seek." The ominous implications hung heavily in the air. Each word felt like a heavy stone tossed into a pond, rippling out into their spirits. "I'm not afraid of the truth," Derek said defiantly, though his gaze flickered with uncertainty. Sarah's heart raced. "But are we ready for what it might reveal?" The figure dissolved into mist, laughter echoing in the wind, the sound both chilling and enticing. The shadows shifted, dancing like flames, and everything around them pulsed with energy. Their next steps were vital. "This place is alive," Jake gasped, catching Sarah's eye. "What if we can't go back? What if we don't survive this?" "Then we must not think about turning back," Sarah said, determination creeping back into her voice. "We face this together, whatever it is." Yet as they took a step forward, the shadows writhed menacingly, darkness shrouding the path. In that moment, Sarah had to wonder, was truth a light guiding them or a darkness consuming them whole? "Are you ready?" came the haunting whisper again, echoing through the fog. They exchanged glances, fear melding with resolve as they advanced into the uncertain shadows. But as they plunged deeper into the misty realm, one question lingered: what would they discover when they faced their own truths? A soft chuckle echoed, fading into the distance, leaving only unanswered questions and a growing dread of what lay ahead. The mist began to dissipate, revealing a landscape of shimmering light, the fading peak of a golden sun hanging low in the evening sky. The ground beneath them felt solid, and the air crackled with energy, pulsing as if every inch of this new realm was alive. Sarah, Jake, and Derek stood next to each other, hearts pounding but united by their choices. They had embraced the unknown, and now they faced the consequences. "What do we do now?" Derek asked, his voice surprisingly steady, as if the serene beauty around them grounded him. "Thoth's arrival must mean we're close," Sarah thought aloud, as the weight of their decision hung like a cloud above them. "But he also warned us that knowledge is both a gift and a curse." "It seems we've come to the point of truth," Jake added, scanning their surreal surroundings. The golden horizon shimmered with hidden depths, a mirage of what they could become. They took a cautious step forward, drawn by an unseen force that urged them to continue. The echoes of shadows, the doubts and fears lingered just at the edges of their minds. But with each step, their resolve hardened. They would face these fears together. As they approached the crest of a hill, they spotted 3 magnificent pillars rising proudly against the sunset. Each one emanated a unique glow, beckoning them closer as if revealing secrets untold. "Those columns might hold the truths we seek," Sarah whispered, excitement flickering in her chest. They clasped hands, forming a circle of unbreakable bonds before taking their first unified stride towards the pillars. As they reached the first, a voice boomed from the base, deep and resonant. "What do you seek, O seekers of truth? Speak your desire, and it will reveal itself." but heed the price you may pay. What do we have to lose? Derek answered, feeling a surge of courage. We want knowledge that can help us understand who we are and what is possible that we never even dreamed of. In a flash, the air around them stirred, swirling with illuminating energy. The pillar cracked open, a golden mist enveloped them and kept them rooted. Images of their past, moments of triumph and despair, danced before them, dreams unfulfilled, lost paths. Face your shadows, or be bound by them, echoed the voice, and the visions intensified. Sarah felt her limbs grow heavy under the weight of regret, like shackles sealing her in despair. In that moment, she saw herself an empty street, broken friendships, jobs left behind, and unworthy choices that haunted her every step. No. This isn't who I am. She screamed, her voice breaking through the chaos. I choose to learn and grow. With that declaration, the mist shattered, and the image of her past began to dissolve, revealing a pathway leading to the second pillar. The second pillar glimmered with a blue hue. As they came near, its voice whispered softly, the truth shall cut deeper. Trust in each other's strength, and all will be revealed. But know that the cost will be heavier for those of you daring enough to ask. Let us do it, Jake declared. This time, he held Sarah's hands firmly. We've come too far to hold back now. Eagerly, they stepped forward together, each prepared to confront their hidden fears. A wave of emotions washed over them as they faced their shadows, the doubts, the insecurities, and the failures they had hidden in the depths of their hearts. The images began to pulse in their minds, but today they felt different. They no longer looked away. I am not my past, Derek shouted, lifting his chin defiantly as he faced his fears, the moments that nearly broke him. Each revelation was a reminder of his resilience. I am stronger than this. A brilliant light enveloped them, dissolving the shadows, and in its brilliance, they found solace in acknowledging their vulnerabilities. Before long, they stood before the third and final pillar, its crimson glow flickering like a heartbeat. Know that knowledge begets responsibility. Are you prepared to wield it? The voice thundered, echoing like a storm. We are, Sarah proclaimed, rising to the challenge. We know what we need to let go of, and we want the strength to move forward. Very well, came the reply. Accept this truth, and may you cherish it. It is the key to unlock your future. With that final call, a pulse of crimson light swept through them, weaving through every corner of their beings. They felt each strand of destiny converge in that powerful moment, as knowledge, responsibility, and courage flooded their senses. The shadows, the fears began to morph into radiant lights. They weren't burdens but lessons that transformed them into who they were meant to be. As they stood hand in hand, the world around them began to change. The mist slowly cleared, revealing pathways filled with vibrant landscapes of opportunity, rich with everything they desired. The past no longer dictated their steps, instead, they were woven into the tapestry of light that radiated before them. This is just the beginning, Jake breathed, looking at their newly transformed world. They were more than seekers now, they were creators, ready to forge a new path, and ready to believe in the potential of tomorrow. Together, they stepped forward into the luminous realm, ready to explore what lay ahead. Each breath was a promise to protect, to grow, and to wield the knowledge they had sought. They would carry the lessons learned and the strength found within their shadows. As they walked into the golden sunset, the whispers now transformed into song, celebrating their journey. It felt clear as day. They were meant to carry these truths forth, to light the path for those who would follow in their footsteps. The echoes of their adventure faded into the universe, a legacy crafted in light and truth, a reminder that even in darkness, knowledge shall always prevail. Are you ready to embrace your own truths? The journey awaits you, and knowledge is waiting to be uncovered. So don't you dare hold back. Now is the moment. Subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next explosive stories. Smash that like button now to fuel the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions. Let us keep the adventure alive together.